Uh, Good morning and welcome. I'm Andy Booth from Governance Services. Under agenda item number 1, Councillor Hutchison was nominated as chair prior to the start of the meeting. Can I ask other members present if they are agreeable to this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So Councillor Hutchison is formally elected as chair, so if I can pass over to you, Councillor Hutchison.
Great, thanks, Andy. So good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to this remote hearing of the licensing subcommittee. As mentioned, my name is Councillor Hutchison and I'll be chairing today's hearing. Before I proceed further, could I remind everyone that today's meeting is being streamed live on the City Council's YouTube channel. Could I ask, please, for the following subcommittee members to introduce themselves? We have Councillor Lennox. We're struggling to hear you there. I think having issues with your mic.
Just fuzzy. You don't hear me?
There's like a lot of interference with it.
I'll try and sort it out. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Councillor. And we have Councillor Richards.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Councillor Linda Richards and I'm representing Wetherby Ward.
Thank you. So I'd like to start the hearing today by confirming that this meeting of the licensing subcommittee meets the requirements of the council's constitution, even though members of the panel are in remote attendance. While items today will be fully discussed as is usual, remote attendance requires a few slight changes of how we manage the debate. Therefore, can all attendees mute their microphone unless I invite them to speak? This avoids disruption from background noise. Can all participants please keep their cameras on during the hearing? And then all participants will be invited to introduce themselves at the start of the hearing to make it clear to the public observers who will be involved in the proceedings. So with regards to the proceedings, can I invite officers to introduce themselves and to mute your microphone once you've introduced yourself? We'll start please with Legal Services.
Good morning, my name's Robert Brown. I'm a solicitor in Leeds City Council's Legal Services. I'm the legal advisor to the subcommittee today, and I'm accompanied by my colleague and fellow solicitor, Philippa Murray.
Thanks, Rob. And then entertainment licensing, please.
Thank you, Sharon. Good morning, everybody. My name is Matthew, part of entertainment licensing, and today I'm supported by Samantha Longfellow-Pennicott.
Thanks, Matthew. And governance services.
Thank you, Chair. Andy Booth, and I'll be the clerk to the subcommittee this morning and supported by Harriet Spate.
Thanks, Andy. Could I also now ask for the applicants to introduce themselves? I believe, do we have a Mr. Churm?
That's me, thank you. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Churm. Is it possible to turn your video on, please?
Is it not on? Oh. Sorry, there you are. Okay.
Great, thank you. And then, could you introduce is that Mr. Holmes as well? Is that also applicant?
Yes, I'm Mr. Holmes.
Right, okay, great, thank you. And then we have, do we have a Mr. Singh?
We just have Margaret Thompson along from the objectors today, Chair.
Great, thanks, Andy. So, Mrs. Thompson,
hello.
introduce yourself, please.
Yes, I'm Margaret Thompson and I live locally in the area of Rawdon where the bar is. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Are you able to turn your video on as well, please?
Oh, sorry, I thought I had it on. I'm struggling a bit with this today. I do apologise.
It's okay. We had a similar issue yesterday with somebody. It took them. Are you on a mobile device or a laptop, Mrs. Thompson?
I'm on a laptop, but I'm away from home, and I don't know whether this is. Can you see me now?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, obviously you. Oh, there we go.
That should do it now. Yeah.
There we go. Now we can see.
My apologies.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you. And then Andy, if we can go on to agenda item number 2, please.
Yep. Under agenda item number 2, there are no appeals against the refusal of inspection of documents. Under item number 3, there are no items which require the exclusion of the press or public. Under agenda item number 4, we've got no late items today. Under agenda item number 5, do any members have any disclosable pecuniary interest to declare?
None from myself.
No. Okay, so if I can pass back to you, Chair.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, so agenda item number 6, which is the application to vary a premises license held by Rawdon Moustache, 9 Harrogate Road, Rawdon, Leeds, LF19 7BP. Could I ask the legal advisor, please, to just outline the procedure for today's hearing?
Thank you, Chair. Our usual procedure for this type of application is that the applicant addresses the committee first, and then any other parties who have indicated an intention to speak at the hearing would then address the committee, and then the applicant has the chance to respond to anything said by those other parties and to summarise its case. In making its determination, the subcommittee will consider what's appropriate and proportionate to promote the licensing objectives, namely 1, the prevention of crime and disorder, 2, public safety, 3, the prevention of public nuisance, 4, the protection of children from harm. The regulations permit the subcommittee to set a time limit on presentations, providing the same time limit is applied to all parties. A usual time limit is 15 minutes per party. The applicant may wish to split their allocation between their initial presentation and their response to the other parties. For example, 10 minutes initially and 5 minutes at the end. Can I ask the applicant's representative whether you would like to ask the committee for any longer than 50 minutes, or would that suffice?
Nice, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Thompson,
Yes, thank you.
15 minutes sufficient?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Then a time limit of 15 minutes will apply to all presentations. After each presentation, the subcommittee members may wish to ask questions. The time for questions to be asked and answered is in addition to the time limit set for your presentations. Please note, we do not permit cross-examination in subcommittee. If any party feels there is a crucial question that needs to be asked and answered, please do not ask the person directly, but instead make a request to the chair, who will then determine whether or not the question should be put. Parties may request permission to call witnesses. Do any of the parties wish to call any witnesses to give evidence today? Mr. Chair?
No, not at all.
No. Mrs. Thompson?
No.
Thank you. All documents that have been submitted have been copied and circulated to the subcommittee in advance. You should all have the same original packs consisting of a main bundle numbered to 58. If anyone does not have those packs, could they please unmute their microphone and let me know now?
We don't have the packs.
You've not got a copy of the application, the agenda pack?
If I can just interfere, if you look at the email which included the details to join the Zoom meeting, there should be a link called the agenda at the bottom. If you clicked on that, it would have taken you to the public version of the agenda that's published online.
Right, 1 second. It's just having a look now, sorry.
Fine, need a few moments to find that, that's fine.
Yes, I've got it.
Good. It would be helpful when referring to documents to identify which document you're referring to by the page number in the agenda pack. Additional documents may now only be tabled with the consent of all the parties. Are there any other documents which any party wishes to refer to?
No, I think so.
Mrs. Thompson? No
No.
additional documents? Thank you. Please note that your presentation is your only opportunity to address the subcommittee, so you should try to make sure that you've included everything that you wish to say and to have taken into account. The committee has read the bundle, but this hearing is an opportunity for you to emphasise or expand upon any particular points you would like the committee to focus on. After your presentation and after any questions, the committee will go into private session in a virtual breakout room. If members then have any additional questions to ask, they'll return to the main meeting to ask those questions. For that reason, all parties are asked to remain in the main meeting until they're asked to leave. All the parties present will be informed once the hearing has ended and will be advised of the decision in writing within 5 working days today. If anyone has any questions or concerns about the procedure I've just outlined, please could you unmute your microphone now and let me know. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Robert. Can I just clarify the 15 minutes for the applicant? Is that going to be split between presentation and then afterwards, or is that just going to be straight from the start?
We'll just go straight from the start if you don't mind.
So you don't need any time to sum up afterwards?
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, we will. We'll split it then. Sorry, yeah, we'll split it.
So can we just agree what the split will be?
Half and half.
Sure, or you can do 10-5.
It's up to you. I suppose it's up to you as applicants. It's probably up to you if you want to, but just bear in mind you have got 50 minutes in total. So if you use 14 minutes 30 seconds, you're not going to have any time left at the end, or very little to summarise. But if you've got I've just put a stopwatch on it, or time yourself.
Then that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, fine. Thank you.
Okay, great stuff. Okay. So could the licensing officer please present the case?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is in relation to an application to vary a premises licence for Rawdon Moustache, 9 Harrogate Road, Rawdon, Leeds, LS19. The application to vary the premises licence is made to extend the hours of current licensable activities, and also to include an external seating area, which the applicant intends to use for the consumption of alcohol only. The licence history for these premises can be noted at point 2 of the report, which explains the application for the initial grant of the licence also attracted representations and proceeded to a hearing. At the hearing, the licensing subcommittee resolved to grant the application, but with modifications to the hours that were applied for. And a condition was also added restricting alcohol sales to be ancillary to orders for food. The licensing subcommittee reduced the terminal hours originally applied for by 30 minutes Sunday to Thursday, and by 1 hour on a Friday and Saturday evenings. The hours that were granted can be noted at 2.2 of the report, and they're also available in a copy of the current premises licence, which is attached to Appendix A on page 11. So moving on to this application, the hours that are proposed to be varied for the sale by retail of alcohol are Monday to Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m, which are existing. Thursday to Sunday, 12 noon to 10 p.m. And then in respect of the performance of recorded music, the proposed hours are Monday to Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 10:30 p.m, and Thursday to Sunday, 12 noon until 10:30 p.m. The applicant considers that the existing conditions on the premises licence are sufficient to promote the licensing objectives during the proposed extension, and there's also no proposal to amend or remove any of the existing conditions. A copy of the application form is included in the agenda pack at Appendix B, and that's on page 17 of the report. There have been no representations to this application from the responsible authorities. However, it has attracted representations from all 3 Guiseley and Rawdon ward councillors, from Rawdon Parish Council, and from 2 local residents. Those on behalf of the local ward councillors are included at Appendix D on page 35 of the report. The representation from Rawdon Parish Council is available at Appendix E on page 39, and the 2 redacted representations from local residents are available on page 41 at Appendix F. Finally, and to assist members with the existing pattern of licensed premises in the surrounding area, a list of those premises, including their licensable activities and their hours, is available at page 57 at Appendix G. And that, Chair, is an outline of the application. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Matthew. So I guess it is over to the applicant, if you would like to present your case, please.
All right, thank you. Obviously, we're here today we would like to put 12 people, 2 tables. We have an approximate square metres of 9 metres times 2.2, which is a fair size, we think, for 12 people, just on 2 tables. Obviously, social distancing will be adapted. I think you've got a picture actually of the layout, or the sort of the front of the shop. If you can see, if you have that picture, we have put a gate to the far side, which is where there's a bin there at the present time. There's a gate being put, that'll be used for the nail and beauty salon. And there will be a balustrade put across to her door. So basically, we've got nearly all of the front of the shop. We're looking to do about 8 covers. Obviously, we're going to have to book it out at 2-hour intervals. Obviously, it's food related, so people are going to have to sit with the food. Obviously, noise will be monitored at all time. We're going to put signs up. Obviously, we don't want to cause any issues to anybody. That's obviously, I think we've been transparent to everything we've done. We haven't been sort of gone behind people's back. I think we're okay with that. We've put a fence around it to perimeter it, so it looks a little bit better. So it's a little bit of a, puts it away from the pavement.
No music outside.
We're definitely not having no music outside. I've read some things that there'll be music playing. We won't be. We're not interested in that at all. It's a sit down so people can have a drink, have something nice charcuterie to eat, conversation. That's what we've always been about when we started this. And that's what we're all about. Like I said before, I mean, I've read some of the arguments about that. It's obviously, well, it's a residential area. Well, it could be argued that I know there is residents around there, but where we sit, we're in the middle of a commercial street, basically, and we're bang in the middle of it. We understand when we don't want to cause anybody any grief. We just want to obviously get on with people, do what we have to do. Like I said, we've been transparent and just basically be decent with the residents around the area and try to be and compromise a decent understanding. You know, to put in. Obviously, social distance. I mean, if you can look at the drawing again, there's 2 windows. So you'll have one table outside one window and another table outside the other window. So we're not sort of putting people close together. There'll be a decking area put out with some nice lighting put in. But like I said, there's no music, so that should be good for people. I've looked at some of the things that I've said. I mean, his last orders is 10 o'clock. I mean, some people have put that with, I mean, and we've got half an hour drinking up time. We don't suspect that people are going to be sat out probably till that late. Obviously, we live in England. It's not actually Spain. It's not red hot. So we'll probably book the tables out. And obviously, we'd like to, if we have to, well, we'd like to make it right for everybody, basically. We don't want to upset people, obviously. So and just keep an happy going. But the noise we will monitor. We'll put signs up. And obviously the staff we have at the time, got bar managers, they'll be told to monitor it, to keep it light for the people. But like I said before, I reiterate, we're in the middle of a commercial zone. That's what I see it as anyway. I understand that over the road and further onto the road, but we're just trying to, obviously with the financial hit we've had, I don't mean this has to be anything but everything, but obviously extra income for us would be fantastic, but monitored, like I said. We're not going to ram people outside. We've got 12, that's all we want. It's more than enough for what we require. Is there anything else you might put? Yes.
No.
There's a bus stop. There's some people have put about the bus stop. The bus stop is not outside the shop. It's actually outside an hairdresser. It's about 30 foot away. So I don't know the argument where people queuing up for the bus, so to speak. But obviously, it's a bus stop. We can't do a lot about where the bus stop. We can't move it, but I can't see it being an issue, basically. And obviously, we sell charcuterie, so it'll be nice. We've got umbrellas going up. It'll be decent, it'll be nice. It won't be sort of thrown together so it looks an eyesore. That's not what we're all about. Everything we've done at an high spec, because obviously we're in building trade, so that's what we do. So it's not an issue to us. That's about all I can say, really. That's basically where we are, and we're a little cafe bar, charcuterie, and that's where we are. I think people would enjoy it. It'd be a good thing. Like I said, we're not that wide. It's only, if you put it in foot, we're only 7.278 foot wide, but we're 29 foot, 20.5 foot long. So to spread 2 tables out, I think it's ample space to put it out. But, you know, we'd like to give it a go, obviously, and that's down to you people. I think that's as much as I can say, really.
Okay. Thanks for that. Before we go to the objection, would ward members like to ask some questions now, or are we happy to wait until after we've heard from representation?
I think I'm happy to carry on at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, on that basis, if we can go to yourself, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you. I mean, I live locally, and this is a mixed area of commercial and residential. I have submitted a map. I'm sorry, the way I've uploaded the document, I don't seem to have it paginated, but it's in the Appendix F, and it's a map which follows my written representation, which has got little red dots showing where people live. So whilst I agree it's a mix of commercial and residential, there are quite a lot of homes there, and over decades we've lived very comfortably alongside the commercial properties, and we want to continue doing so. So as I see the issue here, it's about prevention, about the prevention of public noise, which would be and could be a nuisance to those of us that live here. So I was mindful of what it said in the policy, that applicants need to focus on the effects of licensable activities on people living and working in the area around the premises, which may be disproportionate and unreasonable, and that this includes low-level nuisance, perhaps affecting a few people living locally. So when it comes to, so the thing is really about preventing the noise, and prevention, which I know is a licensing objective, is always better than the alternative of trying to take action after the event, which is a difficult thing to do. And I think residents find it very difficult to complain. They don't want to upset their commercial neighbours. Actually making objections is a fairly difficult thing to do. So this application might be small in itself, but it's the addition and the cumulative impact of different licensed premises in the area. We're already getting a feeling of what it's like with the Turquoise restaurant across the road, which is operating currently out of doors late into the evening with a lot of tables, patio heaters going, and it's already causing noise late at night. I'd like in particular to mention Mr. Singh's property, which couldn't be any closer to Rawdon Moustache unless he was literally living where the beautician is upstairs. They share an internal wall. His premises have a shop on the ground floor, and his apartment, that of him and his brother, is above there, above the shop. So it is, obviously, there could be an impact. It couldn't be any closer. There is another cafe on the parade, Brown's Greens Cafe at the corner there, and that was granted a licence. And planners on granting of that licence referred to the noise-sensitive properties across the road. And so those are the semi-detached you see across the road. And so planners certainly thought they were noise-sensitive and limited operations till 8 p.m. and they weren't to serve alcohol outdoors. I mean, I do know that there are very young children living in those semis, and it may be that their ability to get to sleep, the quality of their sleep, is affected if there is drinking outside until 10 o'clock each evening. So in reference to noise late nights, which we are suffering already from Turquoise, I think it's accepted that unwanted noise is stressful. It's an invasion of personal space, your own home, where you should be able to be quiet and comfortable. And the stress would be cumulative if it's every night. It's about protecting, as previous planning applications. I think I illustrate this in my written representation, to which I refer you, that historically planning applications have always been mindful of all of this. There was an application, again referred to in my written representation, to open a bar. It was by the same applicant as today, across the road at number 12. that went to appeal at the planning inspectorate. The applicant took it to appeal, where the planning inspector very firmly decided that the change of use to a bar, would have a significant detrimental effect on the living conditions of neighbouring occupiers with regard to noise and disturbance. So that's the planning application referred to in my written representation in 2019. Then I would like to mention parking. Again, I've sent in quite a lot of photographs. They were taken mainly across the road from the current applicant's property. But I think it does illustrate we do have problems with parking. As mentioned again in my written representation, numbers 19 to 27 on the same side of Harrogate Road don't have any off-street parking. They're 19th century properties, they haven't got drives. And so parking is a problem, and I think it will become more so. We don't know the impact yet because, you know, unfortunately, because of COVID, the Moustache only had a very little time last summer in which to operate, as did the new cafe across the road from that, which operates until 5. And now, you know, with Turquoise having many more tables outside than they used to, we don't know how bad parking's due to get. What we do know is that it's already a problem, and it's going to get worse because we're going to lose 26 public parking spaces at Micklefield House, which are former council offices that I think you could probably see on your street map. They're across the road on the A65 from the crossroads. And so, because that is being developed into residential property. So that will go. About this particular application, there's always been confusion, I think, about whether it's a cafe or it's a bar. The planning application, which was permitted development, gives it permission to operate as a cafe. But outside of it, it just tells us it's a bar and charcuterie. That's what's on the door and on the window. And so people will automatically assume, I think, they can just go for a drink. Looking at the Facebook page, it's described as a bar in Leeds. It pops up on social media like whatpub.com and untap.com. So we want, the cafe is welcome, but we want to see it operate as a cafe, that the alcohol is attendant to food. If I could raise a question, Mr. Nelson mentioned in his introduction about seating being solely for the consumption of alcohol. I don't know whether I've totally misunderstood that, but if that could be clarified, I'd be grateful. The space outside is a small space. I think perhaps you could see from the photograph that the applicant held, it narrows towards one end. It looks as though it doesn't on the plan that's submitted, but in reality it does. So it's narrower at the end where there's the door for the beauticians above there. So I'm a bit puzzled about that. And I would want, like the other licensed premises, the restaurant Turquoise, that their tables are to be removed after serving. I would hope that if this is granted as requested, then the tables here too are removed after serving, but I'm not quite sure where they would be stored. Perhaps the applicant could clarify that. So the Brown's, yes, the previous licence, reassurances were given by the applicant about no outdoor seating. We do understand we're in different times. It was only just last year that they gained their licence, but now, you know, there is COVID, and we know that customers are going to want to sit outside and need to sit outside. But we feel that 8 p.m. would be a much better deadline for the outside. So it would be in line with the other cafe, because this has permission to be a cafe. It would be in line with Brown's Greens, who can operate until 8 p.m. We really just want to live happily, comfortably and with well-being in mind alongside our commercial neighbours. And I would ask that restrictions be put in place that emphasise the cafe nature of the business, and that glasses are removed, tables are removed after operations end. And I would suggest, as with Brown Greens, that 8 p.m. would be a very good time for that. Thank you. I think that's it.
Is that you finished, Mrs. Thompson?
I think so. Like I say, just to re-emphasise, perhaps that this particular application might be small in itself, but it's the addition of everything together that really has the impact on residents. And, you know, the impacts of noise intrusion on people on a nightly basis are well documented, they're well known, and it's stressful. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. So the applicant, Mr. Cherm, I think you've have some time left to respond before we'll open up for questions.
Okay, thank you. Well, I know parking's an issue, we get that, but obviously for local people, so we don't actually want people to drive. I don't say it's for the people of the area really. So to us, I know it's a problem, people will, but we don't think, obviously we'd like to think that's not much to do with us. We don't want people to, we don't drinking and driving whatsoever, we don't really want it. The cafe bar instance, if you look up charcuterie actually means, it's a French word, it just means a branch of cooking meats. So if you're in France, you have a charcuterie, basically it's like a cafe basically. It's just, if we put cafe on it, it's just charcuterie cafe, it's just another terminology of a word basically. So on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we do a special offer. If you look on Facebook or any Instagram account, and we do it, it's £19.95 and you get a bottle of wine and you get a sharing platter, and that's 3 days a week. Thursday, Friday and Saturday, we tend to just run a normal menu, obviously, because it's a bit busier. And then on Sunday, we do Sunday dinners, and that's on Facebook. You can book on Facebook and stuff like that as well. So, you know, we are putting stuff out there for people. We've had to do, obviously, because it's tight and we can't, you know, obviously with the current situation. But I think on Thursday, we're on about putting another offer on, aren't we, on Thursday, which will be, we don't know yet, but we're looking to put, obviously, we've had time to think about it. So we'll be putting in something for a Thursday, I think. I don't know what it may be, but there'll be another special offer coming on.
Would be quite happy if
to appease
people if they wanted us to take the to stop people seating outside after a certain time. We're quite happy to do that because obviously it's cold, so we're quite happy to stick with everybody else and have nobody sat outside from 8:30 or 8 p.m. if that makes.
To appease the lady, and obviously we don't want to, as we've said before, we've been pretty transparent. We don't want to cause anybody trouble because end of the day, as far as I'm aware of, we're only open for 12 weeks, thereabouts. But as far as we know, in that 12 weeks, we have no problem. We have no complaints about the noise. I know you're going to be putting people outside, but as far as I'm aware of, no one's told me about we've had any noise. Obviously, if we'd have had noise issues, we'd have been told. So we've tried to keep it in hand inside the property. So obviously, if we're good at doing it inside, we'll be good at doing it outside. And to appease the lady, we're more than happy to pull people off the street in front of at 8 o'clock, at 8 p.m. if that's what if that appeases people. We're more than happy to do that. As for Mr. Singh next door, if we shut at 8 o'clock, his shop shuts at 9 o'clock. So the people will be off the front of the property an hour before he shuts his shop, which should appease him as well. And I know the lady says we've got a party wall with him, but we've got a party wall with his shop. The upstairs salon's got a party wall with his property, and not she's finished at 5 o'clock, so there's no noise coming from upstairs. So, and believe me, I'm a builder. The walls on that shop are about 2 foot thick, and there's no noise comes through them, and that's God's honest. And we've also, in the meantime, put some double glazing in some of the windows, which is closer to his, obviously, to stop noise coming out. So we have thought about the residents, otherwise we wouldn't have spent a lot of money getting some you know, doing what we can do, so to speak. Is there anything else you want to say? I think that's about it, really. I mean, the best we can do, like, if they want to appease, we're more than willing to do 8 p.m. I think that's fine.
For seating outside.
For seating outside, that is.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Holmes. I will open up now for ward members if we have any questions. Councillor Richards.
Unmuted. Just to clarify, so the intention is to serve alcohol with food.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's not just a drinking.
No.
Whatever. The intention is to have it as this charcuterie cafe, or whatever you want to call it, outside as an element of what goes on inside.
Yes, a lot of us customers have asked that it'd be lovely to be able to sit outside.
Although it's not south facing, so, but I mean, obviously you listen to people, don't you? Obviously they're a clientele now, so it's just try to
keep them happy.
Thank you. That's it at the moment.
Sorry, yeah, Councillor Lennox.
Sorry, the other thing I was asking is, obviously at the minute there's issues with booking and a lot of places are very in demand and stuff. What will the situation be like if you have people who turn up on you know, on the spot, and if they choose to wait, that is there any sort of logical area where they could go and stand, or would they sort of just be on the pavement in front of what do you predict might happen then?
Since we was only open 12 weeks, we did it on a booking system only with the COVID rules.
Through Facebook or by phone call. So obviously if you book let's say for instance, you book a table for 8 o'clock, what we do, we put obviously on the tables, we put reserved, and then obviously when you come in, you sit at your table. That's what we did through COVID, and obviously it's not going to go away for the majority of the time, I don't think. So that'll be the procedure we'll go with. But obviously, I mean, like, I know it's hard, I know I can't harp on about financial, but obviously it's killed businesses as this. It's really as hard, because obviously if it wasn't for the government and things like that, with the bailing out, I don't think we'd be there basically. And that's not kind of tall tale, that's just the stark reality of life, isn't it, you know? But that's what we did before, and that's what we'll do. And as it eases, we might be to modify it a little bit, but it will be. So Facebook, telephone call, book a table, reserve it, and you get a 2-hour slot. And that's basically how we did it before.
Okay, thanks for that. I have a few questions as well. Just for clarity, Matthew, on the actual application on page 7, it does say for the consumption of alcohol only outdoors. Can we get some confirmation and clarity that that isn't the case?
Yeah, that's the case, and that's my fault. I should really have been clearer. With the application, the plan that accompanied it has 2 distinct areas. There's one which is the bricks and mortar, and that's bordered by, I think it's a red border that indicates where licensable activities will take place. And then there's the external area, which is bordered by a different colour, and that will be for the consumption of alcohol only. However, there's no proposal to remove the condition about alcohol sales being ancillary to food orders. So anybody sat in the outside area will obviously have to, purchase food to be able to drink alcohol in the outside area.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that'll be okay. So that's clear on the actual license that it needs to be accompanied with food.
Yeah, that's right. That condition is to remain on there, and it's effectively to stop operators from putting in a temporary bar unit in the outside area. So alcohol sales and recording music will only take place indoors, but the outside will be used for consumption only.
Okay. How, this is to Mr. Chairman or Mr. Holmes, how do you propose to try and reduce sort of noise outside if things do start getting a bit loud?
Well, we're gonna on the gable end of it, which has got a small wall. It's a small wall at the present time. So we're going to put not massive, but something a little bit taller. So obviously it blocks a bit of sound going that way. But I suppose we've just got to regulate it, basically. We'll put a sign up outside as well. Please beware of residents. And then obviously, I mean, people are coming to eat and drink. We understand that people think, but I don't think the clientele we've got up there, they're not the sort of people that go, you know, it's more to sit down, generally, have a nice drink, conversation, nice something to eat. And I think that's all it is, really. I mean, we're looking at over the 12 weeks, the clientele we've got, and we've got some nice people coming in. We don't think they're that sort of brand of people. And I don't think the people of that area are that way anyway. And we don't get the people that we tend to get in are people that want that sort of an activity to go on. They don't want, we don't play music. There's no pinball machine. There's nothing. It's pretty much a rudimentary little restaurant bar sort of thing. That's what we want. You know, it's for a nice clientele.
Okay, and then just to confirm that, is it 3 tables outside of 4 table?
Two tables of 6.
2 tables of 6. Okay.
Which one will be outside one window, one will be outside the other. So there's a gap between the door basically, and then it separates out. Because when you're serving, you want to go left and right, obviously. So you'll just turn either way, and then obviously people when coming in and out, it gives you just that bit of a rundown, because obviously you're going to have people coming in at you, obviously as well.
If you can't see in that picture where the bin is, we've actually put a gate on for the beauticians, so people go through the other gate to get to the beauticians, and we're going to put a little balustrade thing in front of her door.
So basically the courtyard's then. So I don't know if you've got the picture.
You got the picture?
Just scrolling down. Yep.
You see where that bin is?
Yes, the green bin, yeah.
We put a swing gate there. There was nothing there, so we put a swing gate there to lead you up to the beauticians. And then we're going to put at the side of the window like a balustraded little wall, so the people for the beauticians will just go through that side.
We've been through that with the lady that owns the beauticians. She's more than happy, because we put that gate there primary to do that, because she doesn't want people. I mean, this is when we thought about doing this, so we've put the gate there, and she's happy to do that. We get on really well with her, and she's happy, and it's better for her clientele to come straight.
The beautician is the black door further down.
Yes, that's the entrance to the beautician.
So to the nib of that door there, just after the window, there'll be a balustrade. We might get it from the brewery. It might say Kirksall Brewery on it. But it will be. So basically, it's segregating. So she'll just have a doorway basically going up for her clientele.
Right. Okay. And you've already obviously suggested that you would consider reducing the outside hours. I think you suggested 8 o'clock.
Yeah, if it's to appease, and obviously when you've got a business, you don't want to be at loggerheads with people. It doesn't make common sense to me.
We want to keep the residents happy, so if they want us to go in at 8,
we're happy to do that. I mean, what we'll do then, we book the tables out at 2-hour slots, and then at 6 o'clock would be our last table slot, obviously for 2 hours, which gives you 8 o'clock. And then the people will have to, obviously, because you couldn't go inside because we might be booked off inside. So basically it's on 2-hour slots. And obviously if they want to go, then obviously they'll have to move on, so to speak.
And then just on the 2-hour slots, is that something that is implemented now because of the current restrictions moving forward? And I'm guessing that will obviously change when restrictions do ease and we get back to a normal.
Probably not, no, because when you book at a restaurant, you get a time limit anyway, don't you?
Okay.
So we'll probably keep it more or less the same, really, to keep.
Right. So it's more the covers that you're looking for on the food than it is for people stopping a little bit afterwards and drinking on.
Yeah, it's more the covers than the food.
I mean, obviously you've got to. We might define it. I mean, we don't know because we don't know. We're in a bad place at the moment, so we don't actually know where we're going to go with it. But that's what we think we're going to be staying with this method for a fair while until everything slows down, because we don't know what stipulations people are going to put in primary, you know, like, or the government. So it's worked with us all so far, although it's obviously we've just had to deal with it basically. But then if it changes, we'll sit down and think about with government lines how we then can sort of refine. We might even give people a bit longer. You don't know. Also, we'll ask us the people, clientele, what they want. What do they think? Obviously, they're as customers, they're the clientele, so we've got to sort of work in harmony with them.
Okay, and now, but based on consultation, have you done any previous consultation before putting in the application to vary with, for example, the parish council or ward members or local residents?
We didn't know, actually.
It was the local residents that were asking us to put benches outside. A lot of people said, "Oh, it'd be lovely to have some benches out here," but we didn't speak to anybody. Just speak to the regulars that came in, really.
Obviously,
Right.
You do get a lot of people passing by, and obviously the first thing they say when they're passing by, I'd say probably 75% of the people that come in, why haven't you got seat? So obviously we say, well, obviously that was stipulation when we got the license. So it got mentioned that often, that obviously it's brought us to our attention. So we just thought, well, we'll have a go and see how we go with it.
So that's the reasoning then behind why it wasn't applied for last year when you applied for the original license, obviously moving with the times and upon requests of customers.
Yeah, and obviously when you've put a lot of money in your hand and sort of doing a building up, because obviously it won't fit for purpose when we got it, and you financially, and then you're looking at financial implications. If we can get, I mean, I know it's not all financial, but if we can get 12 people outside, or 10 or 8 or anything, it's more income for the business, obviously. So, but also we've got to look after the local residents, obviously. So that's why we'll appease them with 8 o'clock if that's okay.
Okay. And there's certainly no music outside either, is there?
No, we haven't applied. We're not interested. Like I said, the bar's primary for people just to come, sit down, have a chat. If you want a glass of wine with some charcuterie or anything, basically.
The music that we do have background music in the bar, but it's very quiet background music.
Okay. And how many tables do you have inside?
We have
7.
8.
8 inside. And how many covers is that?
Depends how many people. Because obviously with
I completely appreciate you've only been operating for 12 weeks over the last year.
Yeah.
But when you are full, how many people are inside?
20 full. It's about 24 with distancing.
Well, that's with distance, obviously. So we've got to push tables.
With social distancing out, I'm on about more when in normal.
Going back to normal, what would we get in it?
30 tops.
Yeah, 30, maybe 35.
Maybe 35.
But obviously we beat a bit reintroduced stools then, where you can eat at the bar if you wish, because we've got a long bar, and we've got a bit round the corner with 3 stools which we can't use, where you can eat as well, because obviously it's small. We've got to utilise space, so to speak.
Okay.
Because we offer small, medium, sharing, a large platter. So, I mean, people can come in and just have a nice little small platter. You can eat that at the bar. Obviously, we won't facilitate anybody.
Sunday lunches at the bar.
Sunday lunches you can't have at bar, obviously, because they're too big. So, but we've been 12 weeks, so it's still new to us, and we just try to work through it and try to juggle about and see what we're going to get. But
okay,
it's like a prospect for us, basically.
And then, with regards to the 12 weeks that you were open, was that from July onwards? Is that when you?
Well, we just sort of end of July and then up to when we got told to shut, which obviously everybody shut, didn't they, at that point? So.
During that 12-week period, are you aware of any complaints from the environmental neighbours, parish council, or anything like that?
On the contrary, actually. Some of the stuff, on Facebook and stuff has been absolutely, the people are sending pictures at platters because they're saying it's good value for money, like, look at that. So everything we've had, all the feedback's been absolutely exceptional, to be honest with you. It's really surprising. But at the end of the day, people can go look, we won't tell no lies. People can go look on websites and on social media and they'll see that we've done really well, although we've had to obviously downsize operation because we can't get the people in because of social distancing, obviously.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Councillor Richards, Councillor Lennox, do you guys have anything that you'd like to ask further?
I think I've heard quite a lot of my questions were answered in the discussion that's just happened. So I think I'm happy to say thank you to people for explaining their positions and carry on.
Great. Councillor Richards?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question that might be, about the removal of the tables, at the end of serving, how I'm assuming as a builder you will have some sort of mechanism for making that easier rather than not.
Well, to be honest, we haven't looked at the tables we're going to get at present time, so we might struggle, to be honest, to take them off the street unless we get big enough ones that fold up and we can push them under the window. You get ones now where you can actually push them down and fold them backwards and push them away. So something we've got to look into, obviously. But obviously, like the brollies will be up and such and stuff, we'll take them down. But something we've got to look into. But there is tables we have looked at that fold away. But
it may be easier if we got covers for the tables, took the brollies down and covered the tables up on a night after 8 p.m.
I think also maybe just removing chairs stops people sitting there if they are large wooden benches, for example.
We can put the chairs inside and just stack them up. That's not an issue.
So we can look for solutions, potential solutions. Okay.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. So unless ward members have nothing more, so we will now move into private session to deliberate on the application. Could I ask that all parties, including the applicant and the representative, the licensing officer, remain available should the subcommittee have any additional questions? If there are any additional questions, you'll be invited back into the meeting by the clerk. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Chair. As said, members, the legal officer and the clerk will now move to a breakout room for private discussion and will return to the meeting once those discussions are complete. Everyone else will be placed in the waiting room in the meantime, if you can just wait until we all return. Thank you.
Thank you.
but he's back in now, Chair.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, thanks, everybody. So we have deliberated and come to a decision. So if I can thank everybody for their attendance today, and that concludes our business. As mentioned earlier, the informed decision will be